How are you all? Hope all of you are fine and safe at home. Today we are going to learn about Class 10th Geography, Chapter number 2, Forest and Wildlife Resources. So let us start. In this chapter, we will learn about flora and fauna in India, different categories of existing plants and animal species, causes for depletion of flora and fauna, factors that lead to decline in biodiversity, causes for the environmental degradation, conservation of forest and wildlife in India, types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources, and community and conservation. So let us start. Flora and fauna in India. So, if you look around, you will be able to find that there are some animals and plants which are unique in your area. In fact, India is one of the world's richest country in terms of its vast array of biological diversity. This is possibly twice or thrice the number yet to be discovered. So, if you are going to look around yourself, you will find that there are some animals or some trees or plants that are unique in your area. Means they will be not available in other area. So if we see that India is the one of the richest country in the terms of biological diversity. So we actually don't know the past. Possibly the number will be twice or thrice, and this number is yet to be discovered. So you have already studied in detail about the extent and variety of forest and wildlife resources in India. You may have realized the importance of these resources in our daily life. These diverse flora and fauna are so well integrated in our daily life that we take this for granted. We don't give much importance to that. But lately, they are under great stress, mainly due to the insensitivity to our environment. Some estimates suggest that at least 10% of India's recorded wild flora and 20% of its mammals are on the threatened list. This is because of us, our insensitivity to our environment. We are not giving proper attention to our environment. We are doing whatever we want to do, however we want to do, in the way we want. So because of that, 10% of or 20% of wild flora and mammals are on the threatened list in the whole world. So let us start. India is one of the richest countries in terms of its vast array of biological diversity. As we have seen, different varieties of forest and wildlife resources are found in India. In India, you will see there are different types of forests, trees, as well as the wildlife resources there are in India. So, based on the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, that is IUCN, we can classify different categories of existing plants and animal species as follows. So, these are the categories under which we are classifying them, the plants and animal species. So, let us see what are they one by one. First, normal species. Species whose population levels are considered to be normal for their survival, such as cattle, sow, pile, rodent. So these are the normal species of flora and fauna. So the cattle, sal tree, pine tree, or the rodents are normal species. They come under normal species because their population level is completely normal. So they comes under the normal species. Next, we are going to learn about endangered species. So what are the endangered species? The endangered species are the species which are in danger of extinction. They are on the verge of extinction. For example, species like blackbuck, crocodile, Indian wild ass, Indian rhino, lion-tailed macaque, Sangai, that is brow-antler deer in Manipur. These are on the verge of extinction. So these comes under endangered species. Next, we are going to learn about vulnerable species. These are species whose population has declined to level that it is likely to move into endangered category in the near future if it continues to decline in the same manner. That means they are not on the verge of extinction, but their population is decreasing. And if this is going to be continuing in the near future, these species will go in the endangered species. For example, blue sheep, Asiatic elephant, Gangetic dolphin, etc. So, here in the picture, you can see here are black buck, Indian rhinos, lion-tailed macaque, Indian ass. These are the endangered species, whereas blue sheep, Asiatic elephant, Gangetic dolphin, these are the vulnerable species. Let us move forward. Rare species. Rare species are the species with a small population may move into endangered or vulnerable category if the negative factors affecting them continue to operate. So these are the species which are small in population, and if their vulnerability, their population is continuously decreasing, they will be gone to the endangered or vulnerable category if the negative factors affecting them are going to be continuous. The example of such species are the Himalayan brown bear, wild Asiatic buffalo, desert fox, and hornbill. Next, we are going to learn about endemic species. These species, which are only found in some particular areas, usually isolated by natural or geographical barriers, means these are the species which are there in some particular area and they are isolated by natural or geographical barriers. That means they are not going to be they will not be moving to the other area because of some geographical barriers or some natural barriers. Because of that, these species are found in that particular area only. So, example of these kind of species are Andaman teal, Nicobar pigeon, Andaman wild pig, Mithun in Arunachal Pradesh. Next, we will learn about extinct species. Extinct species, these species may be extinct from a local area, region, country, continent, or the entire earth. Means these are the species which may have been extinct from maybe the local area, country, continent, or entire earth. We may not even see them, or maybe not even see them in future. These are the extinct species. For example, Asiatic cheetah, pink-head duck, etc. Here in the picture, you can see there are some rare species, that is Himalayan brown bear, Asiatic buffalo, the hornbill, whereas here is Andaman teal, Nicobar pigeon, whereas these are the pictures of some extinct species, that is Asiatic cheetah, pink-head duck. So let us move forward. After seeing all these species, let us move forward. So what are the causes for the depletion of flora and fauna? Let us see about that. There are some few reasons because of this the depletion of flora and fauna occurs. So let us see them one by one. Transforming nature into resources, that is tree into furniture. We are using this tree as our resources. We are using it for our benefit. We are cutting down the trees and making the furniture. Expansion of railways, agriculture, scientific forestry, etc. during colonial period. Shifting cultivation, that is slash and burn, practiced in tribal belts. Large-scale development project, that is, for example, you can see Narmada Valley project in Madhya Pradesh, that is nearly 40,000 hectares of land forest had included. So because of that much area of forest has been included. Then again, mining activities, that is Duna Tiger Reserve in the West Bengal, is threatened by the ongoing lumit mining. Whereas according to the environmentalist, grazing and fir wood collectors are the major cause for the depletion of the flora and fauna. So now what we have understand that what are the negative factors that cause such fearful depletion of flora and fauna? That is, as we have seen, the same way, excessive consumption of natural resources for fulfilling human needs such as wood, bark, leaf, rubber, medicine, dyes, food, fuel, fodder, manure, etc. We are cutting down the trees just for our fulfillment of these human needs. Whereas the expansion of railways, agriculture, commercial and scientific forestry and mining activities, as we have seen earlier, then large-scale development projects and mining activities, and unequal access, inequitable consumption of resources, and different sharing of responsibility for environmental well-being. Here, this point is very important, as we are using these resources, we are doing the consumption of these resources, but when it comes sharing the responsibility of environmental well-being, we are like that this is not my responsibility, someone other will do it, it's not my problem. Because of that, the depletion of flora and fauna is occurring. Let us move forward. Factors that led to decline in biodiversity. So what are the factors that lead to the decline in biodiversity? That is habitat destruction, hunting, poaching, environmental pollution, poisoning, forest fire, etc. are some of the causes of decline in biodiversity. Because of all these factors, there is a increase in the biodiversity, that is declinement of biodiversity. Day by day, it is the destruction, the habitat destruction, hunting activities, or poisoning, environmental pollution, forest fires. As we have seen some years, almost a year back, the Australian forest fire was a biggest forest fire we have ever seen, which caused a lot of crores of animals and hectares of forest to burn down. Let us move forward. Causes for environmental degradation. What are the causes of environmental degradation? Inequitable consumption of resources, different sharing of responsibility to protect the environment, overpopulation in third world countries are the causes of the environmental degradation. Let us move forward. So what do you think? The destruction of forest and wildlife is not just a biological issue. How you will explain it? Do you think that destruction of forest and wildlife is just a biological issue? No, right? So how will you explain? So let us see. Biological loss is correlated with the cultural loss. Many indigenous and forest dependent communities are marginalized and impoverished. Within the poor, the women are affected more than men because they take responsibility of collection of food, fodder and water. Walking more than 10 kilometers per day to collect this will create health problems to women and also do not get time to look after home and children. Droughts and deforestation includes flood and are the other result of deforestation. Poverty is the direct outcome of deforestation. So we are saying that destruction of forest and wildlife, it's not just biological issue. It's related to our day-to-day life also. As in, because of these, the humans, who are living near them, the forest area, they will face a lot of problems, the flood and all this. This is the result of the deforestation. So the destruction of forest and wildlife is not just a biological issue. Let us move forward. So conservation of forest and wildlife in India. So as in all this is happening, conserving the forest and wildlife is very much important. So there are some steps are taken. So let us see. Conservation preserves the ecological diversity and preserves the genetic diversity of plants and animals. The Indian Wildlife Protection Act was implemented in 1972 for protecting habitats, and an all India list of protected species were published. So under Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972, the list of protected species was published. The central government also announced several projects for protecting specific animals. Under the Wildlife Act of 1980 and 1986, several hundred butterflies, moths, beetles and one dragonfly have been added to the list of protected species. Because of this act, the Wildlife Act 1980 and 86, different types of butterflies, moths, beetle and one dragonfly have been added to list of the protected species. In 1991, for the first time, plants were also added to the list, starting with 6 species. So here, in 1991, under this act, for the first time, trees and plants were also added in this list, starting with 6 species. So what we have seen now, that the Indian Wildlife Act was implemented in 1972 to protect the habitat. It aimed banned hunting, protecting habitats and restricting trade in wildlife. Many national parks and wildlife sanctuaries were set up by central and state government. Projects like Tiger Protect, Rhinoceros were announced. Under the Wildlife Act of 1980 and 86, several hundreds of butterflies, moths, dragonflies, etc. were included in the list of protected species. And in the end, in 1991, for the first time, 6 species of plants were also included in this list. So these are the steps taken by the government to protect the flora and fauna. Let us move forward. Types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources. So let us see about types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources. In India, forest and wildlife resources are owned and managed by the government through forest department or other government department. So in India, forest and wildlife resources are managed by the government through forest department or some other government departments. These are classified under the following categories. So let us see this category one by one. Reserve forest. So what are the reserve forests? More than half of the total forest land in India has been declared as reserve forest. So in India, the forest land, half or more than half of the total forest land has been declared as reserve forest. Next is protected forest. Forest department has declared 1/3 of the total forest area as protected forest. So the forest department declared 1/3 of the total forest area, whatever the forest area, out of that 1/3 area is declared as protected forest. Let us move forward. Unclassed forest. So what is unclassed forest? These are the forest and wasteland which belong to both government and private individuals and communities. For example, northeastern states and parts of Gujarat have a very high percentage of their forests as unclassed forests. So these unclassed forests belongs to government and private individuals and communities. Next, reserved and protected forests are also referred permanent forests, which are maintained for the purpose of producing timber and other forest products and for protective reasons. Madhya Pradesh has the largest area under permanent forest. Let us move forward. So now we are going to learn about community and conservation. So conservation of the forest and wildlife resources is very important. So here are few steps which were taken by common people, not by government but by some common people. In Sariska Tiger Reserve, Rajasthan, villagers have fought against the mining by citing the Wildlife Protection Act. So here they fought against mining activities by the Wildlife Protection Act. The inhabitants of 5 villages in Alwar districts of Rajasthan have declared 1,200 hectares of forest as the Bhairavdev Dakau Sanctuary. That is Sanctuary. Villages came up with their own set of rules and regulations which do not allow hunting. They are also protecting the wildlife against any outside intrusion. So here these villagers, the 5 villagers of Alwar district of Rajasthan, so they have declared this 1200 hectares of forest as the kind of a sanctuary. Next, the famous Chipko movement in the Himalayas was one successful attempt to resist deforestation in several areas. This movement has also resulted in community afforestation. Farmers and citizens groups like Beej Bachao Andolan in Tehri and Navdanya have shown that adequate levels of diversified crop production without the use of synthetic chemical are possible and economically viable. So here through Beej Bachao Andolan they have shown this kind of effort. India Joint Forest Management, that is JFM program, furnishes a good example for involving local communities in the management and restoration of degraded forests. Thank you, students. That's it for today.